Take one.
You're watching the Questionnaire podcast.
What can they say?
You are checking out the Questionnaire.
What's your name again?
The Questionnaire.
Would you like to have questions?
I don't got it. I'm not that guy.
Submit yourself.
Super fun and entertaining.
This is the Questionnaire.
Look alive, soldiers. Yeah, because this is the Questionnaire. Yeah, I am the Unknown Factor, aka JUF Clark. Man, it's season 3. We're past 25 quests. I don't know. There have been phenomenal ones. We've had a couple phenomenal pan cons, one drawing. We've had one where we chatted. It was just in depth about the comic book industry. We've got 3 coming up that will be the art of storytelling, the writer, artist, colorist, and we might even do a letters edition. I don't know, man. I gotta figure out how to get that many letters together at that time. But that's a whole point. That's a different point, man. But I'll tell you, it's been an interesting time just for me personally, in life. And I think, right at the end of season 2, I really had to stop and think about when that was. There's been quite a few quests. We had a particular individual on who wrote a book that was very violent. It's very, 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 very violent, right? And I'm not talking about Doug Wagner, even though all of his stuff is bloody well violent, right? It really, really is, right? And we've had him on the show as well. But this particular story is also very personal, and it was phenomenal. And it was a train, and regardless how many people try, I won't be killed. And with that, we've got Olivia Briggs back in the house. How you doing?
I am well, Jay. Thank you for having me back.
Thanks for signing this comic that I didn't know was signed for ever. God.
I know. I signed it small. I can't. I don't want to interfere with the beautiful cover art. That's a Skylar Patridge right there. You don't mess with that.
I mean, it is. Yeah, and shout out to Skylar. Skylar, we need that.
Oh, comics attacking you.
Well, thanks, Cat.
Oh.
Cool. He does not belong. This is my lion cat. He doesn't belong. He doesn't belong on the bookshelf. Say hi to Cole.
Hi, Cole.
He was the very loud noise that I now have to clean up. Thanks. What was that about, dude? Are you afraid of the kill train? I understand. It's bloody terrifying. All right. Let's see how long he'll just chill on my shoulder for the quest, right?
All right, sounds good. Seems like he's drifting downward. Well, like I was saying to you earlier, if you thought that the first volume of Kill Train was bloody and violent and personal and emotional, wait till we get into volume 2, which has been greenlit by Mad Cave Studios, and I just finished writing the first draft of the second book. So, and I think because the first Kill Train volume came out last year, I think that this one kind of has to come out this year because you don't want to let more than a year lapse between books. I think it's a rule in the comic industry. So the first book should be coming out before the end of the year.
All right. Can you tell us who you got drawing it?
Sorry?
Who you got drawing it?
The book has not officially been announced yet, so I will let that news come out. There is a different artist on the book. There was definitely some back and forth because I loved what Martina Niosi did. She will not be doing the second volume, but she and I do have something in the works. I think that I'm going to be doing my first Kickstarter with her. Because I'm a huge fan of hers. And I also commissioned her to do a family portrait of my daughters and I, and our dogs, of course.
On a kill train.
Home in Brooklyn.
On a kill train, right? Come on.
No, I took us off the kill train. But Jay, I have a new book that's coming out next week. That's a complete left turn from all of the horror stuff that I've been writing.
Tell me the title because I can't remember it, but I've seen a post.
So it's called The College Try, and this is my first rom-com, and it's being marketed in the YA space. because a lot of it takes place with college students. But I will say that like it really is for people our age. Because it's about a middle-aged woman who goes to her 20-year college reunion in the hopes of like winning back the guy that got away, this guy that broke up with her sophomore year of college. And that ends up going disastrously wrong. But then through this magical twist of fate, she ends up going back to 2003 of her sophomore year of college. And she gets the chance to right what went wrong. So it's, that whole fantasy of if you could go back, what would you fix? And the only thing is that she's looking for love in the wrong direction, but she ends up, it's a rom-com. So I think we all know where it's going. But it's a little different in that it's a queer rom-com. So that's
I remember reading about that story. I think it was very intriguing. I've seen it. Look, for anyone who watches the show, I'm telling you, as a guy that does this, I'm not on social media probably as much as you think I am. I'm definitely not on social media as much as I should be. I literally don't even post for the show. That's my girl Becca handles that. So I'm literally like, I'm not on social media. So if I tell you I've seen your posts, realize that you're one of the people that the algorithm, like, I swear, you, Doug White, there's like 6 people when I open a thing. I'm like, oh, look, it's always someone that's at least been on the show or someone that works for the show, and I think it's hilarious. But I've seen that, and I do think it's a very can you stop? Cat's got claws. Yeah, he's apparently in a feisty mood. I don't know what Cole. I think it was a very interesting turn from what you've done with Kill Train, because Kill Train was obviously, it was a very personal story, but it was written from a horror perspective. And now you're writing a story that is also a very personal story, but it's written from, there's a slight bit of magic in there. It's more the whimsical,
yeah, there's
like
magical
Freaky
realism,
Friday.
yeah.
Yeah. But and that's a whole conversation I think I had with, too many quests, and I can't even bloody well remember. But it was the fact of, is it Harry Potter or is it Harry Dresden magic? And that's honestly like kind of a step down from even Harry Potter, but there is still a little bit of a magical element. I think you don't want more of a magical element than I wouldn't think than that in a rom-com. You definitely don't want Harry Dresden magic in a rom-com. Now I challenge you, Olivia, for your not next book, because you've got that one coming out, and then that one coming out. But for the 4th book, I want a rom-com with Harry Dresden level magic.
Oh God. Okay. I'll look into it and I'll see what I can deliver. I will say though, the college try is definitely an anomaly for me. It's my first rom-com, and I don't know that there's going to be another one anytime soon, because it really does feel like all anyone wants from me right now is horror. But I'm happy to oblige. Horrors, thrillers, like that's my wheelhouse. That's like my origin as a creator. I mean, like I was like one of those 12-year-olds where my favorite movie was The Exorcist. So,
but that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
It is.
It reminds me.
I love it.
Yeah, it reminds me. Whoa. Of something Rebecca Lee Gardner talked about. She didn't expect to be writing children's young adult novels when she started. Right. But still, you guys have both put yourself in a place to where you're able to do that personal story and then go back into that. And I think that says a lot for you both.
And also artists. Putting personal stories in the horror genre. I mean, I think that, horrors and thrillers, what people often underestimate, there's so many different ways to tell a horror story. And what's great about it is that you get this kind of like, this crunchy concept that hooks people because there's immediate danger and it's kind of sexy for that reason. So you've got your readership there that's built in. And then within that, you can tell any kind of character story you want in horror. That's why it's so awesome. And there's so many different blends. You could do a horror romance, or which I would really like to do. There's a story that I don't quite have a home for yet, but I'm looking for. But horror comedies I love. I think that Kill Train's kind of like an absurdist horror comedy a little bit. There's
Little Evil Dead.
There is, yeah, there's an element of that too. For me, I know it's not like, obviously it's not a one-to-one comparison. You never want that, but there's a big Squid Game element to me, and like in the absurd nature of Kill Train. And it was funny because I was talking to one of my managers in the film and TV space who's been taking Kill Train out. And she said, well, we've gotten a lot of feedback that like these executives just think if there was even a chance, they would never get on that train. And I was like, oh God. Well, okay, of course. But what's so funny to me about it is that like coming from the perspective of people who live in Los Angeles, drive cars, and are very privileged. And the truth of the matter is, though, like if any New Yorker who reads Kill Train is like, oh yeah, I would totally still take the train.
Well, and that, and
different.
none of those executives are going to sign up for Squid Games either. Do they not? Like,
but right, except but that was my thought too. Is that like Squid Game? You have a concept that is at its heart, it is absurd. I mean, I will say though that with what's been happening recently with ICE, that I'm now looking at the idea of exterminating people on subway trains and what's going on in the world, and I'm like, wow, this is like, maybe it's not that unfathomable that we would find ways.
Let's not talk about how realistic your horror comic book could become. Let's switch the topic instead and say, yeah, because I don't want to get into that, because every time I look at the real world, I'm like, Jesus, are you serious? I'm dealing with enough personal crap. Can't y'all get your together and like, whatever.
It honestly is kind of like we're living in a dystopian comic. Okay.
Yeah. So you say you use that bit of crunchy, right, to get them looped into that horror real quick. So with the college try, what's the let me loop you in real quick? What's that element of like, what's your lasso to go, hey, come here?
It's the what if, right? We all have these what ifs. And it's, if you could go back and fix any one thing about your life, what would it be? And I think everyone has that. And it's such a universal idea that getting to see that, embodied in the story, getting to live through somebody going back and correcting their what if, it's cathartic for all of us. And I always think, like, in terms of ideas and concepts that hook people, the fantasies that you have that keep coming back to you, those are so rich for story. I mean, with Kill Train, like, the real nexus of that idea was when I was a little kid growing up in New York City. I used to sit on the subway train, and I guess it's a little sad when you think about it, but when you grow up in a major city, there's kind of the idea that there's danger around every corner. You have to be careful, right? So I would ride the train, and I would always imagine, okay, if some bad guy burst through that door from the other train, right? Well, the train's in the tunnel. I would always think about, okay, what's my Olivia saves the day moment? And I would be like coordinating fights in my mind and how I would bring them down. And I'm like, I'm 12. Like, there's no way that I'm going to like bring down anybody. But that was the fantasy that I have, because, again, when you grow up in a city, there's the feeling of, there's always a little hint of danger, and you learn how to live with it. So that's why I think I found that feedback from some of those executives kind of funny, because I've been all over the place with this book, and I think I've only heard that from like a comic reader once. I think everyone else is very, very excited by the concept and understands that it is absurd, but that it is highlighting something real, which is that, and you understand. I will say, for the second volume, there's something you don't know about the Kill Train program that becomes it's a secret that comes out in the second volume, and what the real aim of the Kill Train program is, which it's sad, but it's a truth about society and how certain governments see certain groups of people. And and it kind of it grounds it a little bit. So yeah, you can probably see where that's going.
Well,
but in that kind of world,
then it's socioeconomical, and that's all that it is. And I mean, that makes sense as far as, why get rid of the fact that you're taking this from such a personal story to then implementing it into a political message, I think is lovely. I think it's important with what we're doing in society now to understand that politics and personal lives intersect at a level that most people don't ever think about because I don't know, they don't read. Go read, y'all. Like I don't even like I
So
swear, read. And if you got kids, start them with comics. They'll end up reading books. I promise. That's the only reason my mom let me read comics. She literally said that to me recently, and that's what I'm getting my kids started on. She's like, "Oh yeah, that's why I let you read." And I've read a lot of things in my day, from philosophy to Hannibal to weirdness to, I love me some Hitchhiker's Guide to back to Kill Train still in comics. And I think people, it's just worrisome that I think people lose the connection between those things, especially nowadays. And it becomes more about agendas than it does about people.
Right. And that is a very, it's a scary place to be. And it's also, when you say read, you can't just read social media. It's we're in a very, very scary place right now where you can't really believe anything that's being put out there. And now it used to be that we could at least believe the images that we were seeing, and now we can't believe those either. So I think that, thinking critically about what's going on in the world, and don't just get your news from one source either if you can. And I know we all have really busy lives. I watch a lot of CNN, which I know is annoying for some people, but, also check out BBC News, Al Jazeera, like look at what's going on outside of the US in terms of what they're broadcasting in order to really get a clear picture. And then what's so wonderful about art and about, the printed page is that this is like a real human's attempt to digest something that is really affecting them, and that can start conversations. So and that's what absurdist concepts are so good at, because and again, why I laugh about this is because the absurdity of comics has always been a way to comment on either the human condition or what we're currently dealing with in a way that's digestible. It's too hard. No one actually wants to read. No one would read a comic about what ICE is actually doing right now. That's too hard and it's too close. But if you take a step back and it's like, oh, it's a bunch of people getting murdered on a train. I would never take that train. I'm not in any actual danger. Let me check out this book and see what it has to say. Then you can absorb the message and start a conversation in a way that feels safe. So I think that's what is so important. And about Squid Game too. I mean, what an incredible commentary that people would literally put their entire lives on the line for money. Right? It's like, it's similar to Kill Train. You put your entire life on the line just to get to your job. It's the same thing. So, and those stories having absurd representations, magical realism, it's so important because it allows us to confront sometimes very difficult topics from a safe standpoint and actually, think about them. So again, and with comics also, I mean, you probably know this, but they've recently kind of figured out that nothing is more instrumental in increasing literacy than comic books for kids. Being able to see that image. And it's not just for kids that might have learning disabilities, although comics are fantastic for kids with, learning disabilities.
Yeah, look, and I can testify to this on a personal level with my son. Because, we started initially reading comics. I've read SpongeBob comics, this and that. And through a quest that I had on the show, somebody brought up Bone, and they were like, it's phenomenal. It was Eric Allsbury. And he designs the website. You can check out the link right in the description below. It is phenomenal. You can find out all kinds of stuff on that website, man. It is dumb. He ain't even got all the past guests in yet, though. But that's because there's a lot of guests, and it was 2.5 years in before he started building it. So I'll give Eric a break. But he brought up Bone. And then I was at the library one day and I seen it and I was like, oh, picked it up, started reading it for the boy. And we got to the 9th book. I'm sitting there, it's bedtime, we're getting ready for bed. He's holding the book. He's like, Daddy, I wish I could read, which is funny because he said it on the 9th book. And I don't know if you've read Bone, Olivia, have you?
No.
Okay. It starts out real whimsical. The great cow race where Granny Ben is racing the cows and this and that. And by the time you get to book 9, it's Thorn and Bone in a dungeon, bloody, and it's way more serious. And he's like, And he couldn't. He's like, I don't think I want to read that. We went back and we have the whole series now. And we've went back and read the other ones yet, but he hasn't read book 9 yet because it's like, I got a little too much. But it definitely did push him reading because, like I said, he was holding it and was like, I want to read, and it's helped him so much comprehension level and just him picking up words and everything. So yeah, for anyone that wants to get exactly what Olivia said, if you want to get your kids reading comics, because that's how cavemen started. Pictures on a wall. All right.
True.
Children have the intelligence of a caveman initially. That's all I'm saying. You gotta, I'm just saying IQ wise. That's all. I'm not saying. I mean, come on. They go grunting around. I mean, that's a. You know what I mean? That's kids until they grow and they can actually use words. But yeah, I think there's no greater source. And this is something else that I spoke to about Rebecca about. It's the fact that there's a jump in reading from the picture books with just a couple words to here's a book.
Right.
There is a middle ground, but it's not acknowledged. Yeah. Like the comics totally bridged that gap, but for some reason, I could not tell you why, it's not put in front of there. Like here's more stories with pictures, and it's a different level. I don't know why that wasn't figured out 20, 50, 60, 70 years ago.
There's a lot that we are only just now understanding when it comes to how humans evolve. I mean, the fact that we have an emotional education in public schools now. I mean, I'm floored by it, and I feel so lucky that my kids get to have it. But every once in a while, I'm like, why didn't I get this?
Wait, what are you talking about?
What? So much at like 42. It's so annoying.
What is emotional education in school? I need this explained to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, really? Wait, so your son isn't getting, basically now in schools, they teach kids what emotions are, and they try and help them figure out how to regulate them. And like my daughter is in 6th grade, and they're about to start a whole unit on what healthy relationships look like. I'm like, I'm totally floored. And I find it so fantastic.
That's not real.
It is real.
No,
it is real.
I don't believe you, Olivia. That doesn't sound real. I mean, I'm all for it. I want to point out, but it doesn't sound real.
It's totally real. And there's that, but I'm sure that you've been feeling it. There's a real push towards mental health being as important as physical health overall. And, to some degree, like everything, there's like a pendulum swing, and it goes a little bit far. Like, I feel like there seemed to be this, cultural moment of let's all, emblazon our t-shirts with our limitations. And I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. But whenever the pendulum swings too far in one direction, we find a middle ground, which is that your mental health affects your physical health and how you interact with the world. And it's very, very important. And we are so far behind. The US is really far behind with a lot of this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't have any government supported childcare, but that's a whole other issue.
Well, I think we are very far behind that in the States. And that's why so many people take their mental health issues out on people with the Second Amendment. I mean, I'm just saying, because I really think that's a thing. If we focus more on mental health, people are like, it's a gun control issue, and I'm like, no, because someone that's mentally healthy doesn't go just shoot someone. No.
So, I will say though, I think okay, then maybe until we can get our entire nationwide mental health issues sorted out, maybe we should keep the guns away. But that's just me. I'm a New Yorker though. I'm a New Yorker. We're not allowed to have them here. I like that, and this is where I grew up. So that's my stance on that.
They don't want New York. They don't want New York.
Should I write?
No, they don't want New York to be armed because there's so many of you, and then there could be a coup.
Is that it?
I don't know. I've got I've got some buddies of mine that are in the military, and I have learned some things that are disturbing, that that I don't know if I would say out loud on the show.
Yeah, several things.
Yeah.
And all kind of going back to the fact that this country is a little crazy and scary right now. But what I will say is one thing that we are insanely good at, that we have always been really good at, is storytelling. We have kind of cornered the market on storytelling, and we have, some of the best storytellers in the world are here in the States. And that is an incredible community to be a part of. And just bringing this back to comics today, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that we both had real shit years. My life kind of exploded this year, and I
meant thumbs up like me too, not thumbs up like, yes, your life exploded.
Yes, right.
Good for you, Olivia, just to be clear.
No, but honestly, I mean, it could have been one of those situations where I just drown with it, but what ended up happening was, because everything fell apart, I had to look at everything that I had. And I had an incredible support structure, because the way that things happened, there was no way for me to not tell people what was going on. It was like I had to push, I was under a lot of contracts. I had deadlines. I had to push everything. And I was at this point where I didn't want to hide what I was going through. So I told people what was happening, and this is the situation I'm in right now. And I just need to get through. So everyone has to wait. And the response that came back was so loving and so supportive. I mean, I realized, I thought that I had lost everything. And what I realized was that I had so much more than I ever realized. And so many of those people were part of my comic book storytelling community. And it was just beautiful to me. I think, and it wasn't just comics. It was also, entertainment as well, because I work in film and TV. But, everyone wants to kind of like shit on Hollywood people, and I totally get it. I lived there for years. But it really is when you find your people like you, and people who have committed their lives to like reading stuff and watching stuff and fanboying, fangirling out on stuff. There's something really beautiful that happens. And we're very, very connected in a really incredible way. And and it's Valentine's Day right now for those of you watching. And so I'm just kind of filled with gratitude today, to make it super goofy, especially for a horror writer. But the storytelling community that I've been lucky enough to surround myself with is really, it's just fantastic. And what a great, I mean, listen, it's never been a good time to be a writer, right? But we just say that because I don't think there's ever really been a great time to make a shit ton of money, unless you ended up in like TV in the 90s. That seemed good. Everything else, not so great for money making, but really, really fantastic for relationships. And I'm just so lucky to be able to tell the stories that I want to tell. And I'm endlessly grateful for my community, especially coming out here.
Yeah, and that's what it is right there. It's a great community. And then, as someone that for 3 years ran an online radio, and I dealt with mainly the hip hop and rap community, but a couple other different with the adult film stars. I also did a comic book show on there and was able to see a number of different things. I think the comic book community is very, very supportive, and I think it's also
incredible comic book community.
I think also, people seeing that within comics. Look, I don't have to like a comic to recommend it to you. I want to point that out, right? Like, I don't, because I can be like, oh, you're into that? Well, you should read this. What do you think of it? I've never read it because it's not my cup of tea, right? But I know of it. I know who wrote it, blah, 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 based on what you said. I think you would enjoy it. But because there is a comic for everyone, and there are certainly comics that, and I will never read every comic that exists, because no one will. I don't care who you are. Yeah, it's just not feasible in any way, shape, or form. Even if you just started at the stuff that's coming out today and tried to keep up, I think you'd probably die of dehydration trying to keep up. But it is important there's a comic there for everyone. The support within the community, even when it's not something that's the same. Like an example of this is Doug Wagner, who is another horror writer, writes stories that are very, very gruesome, but have a personal touch. I would say like Kill Train does, except they're more. His stories seem to have more of a like, don't be a dick or someone might kill you kind of message. I'll say. That's the politest way to put it. Don't be a dick. There might be somebody out there that just really doesn't like that and has a particular skill set. He's the reason that I ran into Rebecca Lee Gardner, who writes books for third to fifth graders. So
Right.
it's supporting her, who is someone that like their works do not go together. You know what I mean? As far as like, I wouldn't think somebody would buy Plastic and then Bleep Bloop Murder or her adventure or her cat adventure stories or anything else, but they supported one another. So it ended up where I hit up Doug and was like, hey, bring her. I had a phenomenal show with her. So that's the thing. You see that too, supporting one another. Now I've seen something that you're doing though that I think is very intriguing, especially based on some of the conversations I've had, which is writing comics for the screen.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I would say there's a bit of a caveat to that though. I write comics to write the best fucking comic I can. That comes before everything else. If I have an idea that is going to go into a comic book, it's the idea has to fit the medium, and I have to write it for the medium as best I can. I'm never going to write a comic that I would rather see as a television show. I don't think that that's fair to the medium, and it's not fair to the fans. But what? You have a point?
Well, no. That just makes me think. Are there ideas that you had? You're like, oh, I really like this story, but it's a TV show, and that's what I have to write it as, and you would never make it a comic?
If I cannot find a way to justify making that story a comic book, then no, I won't. Because again, I don't. As like we were talking about, the comic book community is so supportive and so wonderful and so well read that I think it's taking them for granted. If I'm not just going to say, okay, well, I really want this to be a TV show or a movie, so let me write it as a comic first and see if I can sell it. Because the truth of the matter is, it is easier to sell an idea that already exists in the world as some sort of pre-existing IP. And I'm lucky enough that I work with a lot of independent publishers. And so I am able to get press. I'm not doing all of this myself, right? And the books are out there and they are legitimate. And it's like, oh, this publisher's backed this idea. So it makes getting into rooms with these books easier. That said, I do think it's taking the audience for granted if I don't actually want to write this as a comic book and I'd rather see it as something else. So yeah, if the idea doesn't fit the comic book medium, I'm not going to do it. I think what's great about comics, though, is that there has to be a visual element to justify it being a comic book, right? So, but aside from that, there's so many stories that you can tell in comics. I guess the issue then becomes, if it's an adult comic, which means it's going to be single issues. If you can't use the 5-act structure for an arc, so you can get your 5 single issues, then just don't do it. But a lot of ideas can work in comics and on screen. And so I'm lucky enough that I do have a foundation in film and television, and I have an incredible team of reps who also, talk about like coming out for me during a crap year, because they totally could have been like, oh, she's having trouble, let's jump ship. And they did not. I will also say my entire team, lawyers, agents, managers, all women. I love them. So what I'm able to do then is, once I have, this book that's completed, I can then, take that and develop that for either film or television and get into rooms and pitch it. So that right now is one of the goals for Kill Train. I'm a little bit buried in work at the moment, so I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to be able to get around to that pitch. But a wonderful friend of mine, who is an extremely, extremely talented producer and development executive, had a pretty incredible idea for how to expand the first volume of Kill Train into a season of television. And a lot of it is getting much deeper into the lives of the other characters that are on the train with her.
Oh.
Which that was what the only hard thing about writing that first book. I mean, it's a very, very single protagonist story because it had to be to fit into, what did I have, like 120 pages, something like that.
Yeah.
But in a season of a television show, I don't have those restrictions, right? You give me 8 episodes, I can tell you 8 different character stories. So, the ability to then get into these lives of the other people and why they ended up on that train that day, I guess, to answer the all-important question of why would you take the train if there's a possibility you could die? Well, you're going to find out. So yeah, I'm very excited to develop Kill Train as a television show. But I'm not just limited to film and television. Well, nobody is really. And for whatever reason, and Jay, you might think I'm totally crazy, but I've always wanted to see Kill Train as a musical.
Look, as someone as someone that absolutely loves Sweeney Todd, I'm down with that. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, no, I don't think you're crazy. I'm like,
for the front row, though, right?
Yeah. Can we just look? Can we just get it into a TV show, make it a good TV show, and a musical? Yeah, because I want to see that musical. I think that would be bloody well hilarious. No, because I love Sweeney Todd for that, because it's like, this is crazy. Oh, there's a level of absurdity to it. You know what I mean? And I think that's why Sweeney Todd worked. Yeah, you could totally. 100%. Yeah, you could totally do that with Kill Train. No, and I think that's awesome too that you have that in production. You obviously, with the college try, have something else that I think could very easily be turned into a TV series, and you wouldn't probably have the budget issue that you would with Kill Train.
A feature film.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, yeah. True.
It's got the whole beginning, middle, and end. But yeah.
The funny part is, if you think about it, I almost guarantee. Now, this is dependent upon who you cast, but let's not worry about the casting budget. Kill Train's going to cost more.
Not that much, though. One set, Jay. You just keep redressing that train.
You're right, Olivia. That's
I'm the daughter of a set designer, so I always have my production hat on.
Huh? That's well.
Right? See?
It depends how much backstory you have. That's more than one set. It's one set that you got to screw up.
All the scenes on the train could literally be the same.
Yeah. That's a yeah.
But yes, you're right. I mean, it would, but I think that it could be made for a relatively reasonable cost. I'm not looking for like $5 million an episode here.
All I know is when that gets made, if there's not a bag that says snacks on it.
Road snacks!
Yeah. If there's not a bag that says road snacks on it, Olivia, I'm going to be a little upset.
Was it with you, Jay, that I told you that I had to fight for that?
Yes.
Because it disappeared. I was it was in the text, but it wasn't in the pencils, and I had to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. We need to go back. We need to say road snacks."
So you better tell them that with the show too. And be like, hey, a bag should say road snacks on it.
You know what I'll do? I'll do for you. If this ever gets made into a TV show, it's going to be Jay's Road Snacks. I promise you. That I will do for you. It's going to be years from now because all this shit takes forever, especially, oh my God, the industry is moving so slow right now. But I promise you, it'll be Jay's Road Snacks. If it ever makes
That's what's funny, I think. And I can only imagine how much the industry, because how long have you been in the film and TV industry?
I will say professional. I'll just say since 2013, which is when I got out of grad school.
Okay. How long have you been, because you said your dad was a set designer, right?
Yeah, for theater.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know how long you've been close to seeing the production. Because I've had some stories over here, obviously, with the guests that I've had on, as far as how long it takes something to get from a pitch to, hey, it's on the screen, can be a really long time.
Yeah, it can be decades.
Yeah, like, did you say decades?
It can, yeah. Absolutely.
So does that mean that in 30 years, everything on TV and movies and all of that is just going to be based on comics or a book, and that's going to be bloody well it? Because I feel like that's what it's already turning to.
what's happening right now is that the entertainment industry is extremely risk averse. There was a time where everything exploded and there was a ton of money, and it was like, and you get a show, and you get a show, and you get a show. And then they started to tighten, but then we got hit with the pandemic, and then we had the writer's strike, which was then, followed by the actor's strike, and that went on for forever. And then when the industry was just trying to rebuild from that, half of LA burned down last January. So, and a lot of the people, I won't say most, but a lot of the people that work and run entertainment are still in LA, even though a lot of the production has left. So the entertainment industry as a whole in the US has taken a massive hit, and that has affected the entertainment industry in every other country. So it's been slow to come back. So that's why building pre-existing IP to then sell is becoming so vital, because what executives want to see is that something exists successfully in another form, because they don't want to take that chance on the screen, because it's very expensive.
Well,
even a cheap level, it's expensive to put these things together. So it might be in 30 years that everything is based on something pre-existing, but that doesn't mean that the idea is in and of itself is not original.
oh
Because
no,
it is.
no, yeah, I'm not saying like, look, because I know for a fact, and I've said this previously on the show, there are people that have consumed comic book media that have never read a comic, and they probably don't know that they have, because Johnny Depp was in From Hell. You know what I mean? How many people seen that and had no idea it was based on a comic? And I mean, there's a plethora
Or
of other things.
or whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Eternal. I can't even, the Jim Carrey film. My brain is escaping me. Whatever.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's a long
Eternal
one.
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Thank you. My brain could not put those words together. But I want to know your opinion, because we had a PanCon at the very end of season 2 that was streaming and its effects on entertainment and society. Lovely PanCon. We had an actor, an independent filmmaker, a couple other individuals, just discussing what it's done to us as a society and to us as the entertainment. And then I also seen something of Matt Damon saying that Hollywood is way less likely to gamble on a smaller film because the DVD sales aren't there anymore. And that was something that market relied on. There was, oh, you didn't make your money at the movie theater. Well, that's fine. It's going to drop to DVD, and a bunch of people will buy the DVD. That's not there anymore because it goes to streaming before it goes anywhere. So it takes that out. As well as the fact that with streaming, in a lot of cases anymore, they are dropping entire seasons at once. Like, so here's the whole show. You can binge it like it's a 8-hour movie, right? As opposed to on a weekly basis, here's the episode, and that takes away the water cooler talk of, oh, hey, did you see what happened on last week of Married with Children? Or, what? I still can't believe Rob used the background of Married for Children on his quest. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, you do lose that. What do you think that's done overall with just streaming on the effects that it's had? And do you think that it has affected shows negatively or positively in them being dropped in their entirety of a season, as opposed to them being dropped on a per weekly basis? Which I know that's changed a little bit, and it depends on what and blah, 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 blah. We're not getting into the semantics.
How has it affected the way that we tell stories?
No, how has it affected, like, how has it affected the entertainment industry, and more than anything, the way we consume stories? I think it definitely affects the way stories are told a little bit, but I think it affects more the way we consume them.
It definitely affects the way that we consume them. And it's hard for me to talk about these things from a business perspective, because I am an artist, right? So there's a lot that I don't know about how it has affected the numbers and, how the business is structured. I know that the business has really struggled as a whole with keeping up with how to make sure that everyone is still making money the same way that they used to. And I don't think it's possible to make money the same way that we used to. But we're figuring that out. And I think that we're up for another round of negotiations. All of the guilds are. I think it's happening again this spring, because it's 3 years since the last strike. So again, we're still trying to figure out more ways of making sure that everyone makes money. But what I will say about, especially like an entire season dumping at one time, what I think that has done for storytellers anyway is that it has given rise to serialized structure in a way that it's given the opportunity to have deeply serialized stories that we didn't have before. When you had a whole week between episodes, people would forget things, right? That's why we have the previously on. But now it's almost as if you can construct, an 8 to 10 hour movie, because people can just watch these episodes back to back to back. And I think in some ways it's actually kind of really deepened and enriched the kind of character stories that we can tell. At least that's how I feel about when I create stories for a streaming audience. And that's one thing that I really love about it.
I have a counterpoint to that.
Go for it.
It's from Damien Potier, who's an actor. He played Goldface in the Flash. He said that, and I would agree that based on the fact that people are watching them back to back to back to back to back, a lot of the times they miss nuances because it's like, oh, that episode's over. They don't think about what they just watched. They just jump straight into the next one.
That's interesting. Like they don't have the opportunity to kind of like marinate on what it is that
Yeah,
they have.
they don't digest it. They don't sit. And like I said, it's the water cooler talk, because think about it, like when the and I don't know.
Can I counter that? Because I feel like, look at what just happened with Heated Rivalry.
What's that?
Right? Was that not all dumped in one? I watched it all in one, but it was a little late.
I don't know. I literally, when I said what.
Oh my God! I thought you were joking.
I know I'm not. When I say I'm not on social media, I'm not kidding, Olivia. I'm not. I love that you're like, oh, he really did. Look, no, I'm the pop culture nerd that doesn't keep up with the pop culture at all. I consume what I want to. Yeah,
I know. I'm a member of the entertainment community, and I have no time to consume anything. But I did consume this. So, Heated Rivalry is it's a beautifully crafted love story about these two professional hockey players. They're rivals, and they're on rival teams. That have, since the summer before their rookie year, been lovers behind closed doors. And nobody knows about it, and it's something that they're hiding, and it ultimately builds to them being together. Now, it's a fantastic gay love story it took everyone by storm in a really, really beautiful way, and people could not stop talking about it. And not only that, but they went back, and I saw so many posts, people going back and rewatching the entire season to go back and, maybe to your point, grab those nuances that they may have missed because they were blazing through the series and could not stop watching. So I would say that, I understand that, you watch one thing, you don't go and off and marinate on it until you come back to the next episode. I don't know, though, that I think that comes down to the kind of person who's watching the show, because if you're not somebody who necessarily sits around and thinks about what you just saw, it's not going to change whether or not you see one episode and have to wait a week, or you see one episode and have to wait 5 minutes.
Right.
And I think also how compelling the story is and what type of story you're watching, if it's going to hook you like that and make you have to go back. I mean, I know how many, my daughter, my 11-year-old, has watched every season of Stranger Things about 5 times at this point. Just to keep going back and getting those nuances and seeds and how they put this whole universe and story together. So if somebody isn't sitting around thinking about what they just saw, whether it was one episode 1 week or a whole episode dump, I think that probably speaks to whatever it was that they saw and whether or not it required that and what kind of person saw it. I don't know that the structure of releasing, how you release episodes, necessarily equates to how much impact the content has. But that's just me.
I don't know. I just and like I said, it's the other thing. I feel like it removes the water cooler talk. You know what I mean? Like, because if everybody, huh?
I still think people still talk about shows that they've seen, whether they all came out at once or not.
Okay, they do.
But people are in different places though, so you don't want to do spoilers.
That's what I'm saying. If it's released weekly, it's walking up. Oh, did you see this week's episode of blah blah blah? You can talk about it. If they
Yeah.
dump the whole season, it's walking up, hey, have you watched blah, blah? Oh, yeah, I did. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not to that episode yet. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that this is also a case of like, there are certain models that worked at certain times in history. And I think that, when you get to a certain age, like I think you and I are, right, where you start to get nostalgic for how things were. But whether or not that still works today is another question. So, our lives are moving very fast right now. And now, because there's so much work that we can do online, we're no longer saddled with like we work locally and have local work hours, at least as far as my job is concerned. So now I'm in a situation where if I want to watch something or kind of need to watch something for work or whatever it is, I have to do it on my own time. It is no longer convenient for me to watch something at the one episode of something at 8:00, right? Our lives don't work like that anymore.
They
And
were DVRs.
Sure, but how freaking annoying was that to have to do, right? I know we were all excited when that happened. It was like 2 seconds. It was like Blu-ray. We're like, hey, what was that?
We need to restart this whole commercial because people could probably hear Pokemon in the background.
Please check out this amazing promotion that we have prepared with the questionnaire.
I'm the unknown factor. This right here is the obscure fragment.
Are watching this show
Yeah, I'll do editing
with the questionnaire.
So we've edited this awesome commercial together, y'all.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
And print your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here, right here, right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right, it's probably actually right here, right here, right. It's right under your chin. It says Quest 24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a whipping discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
9.
20.
9.
20%.
9.
All right.
9.
He wants to give you 9% off. I, as well as Alfonso over there on Studio Comics, want to give you 20% off.
You can get it right there with this amazing code. Just enter it right here. Yeah, just right there. There.
Use that code over at Studio Comics to get 20% off.
Thank you very much. This is a special one for all our friends of the questionnaire.
Type in Quest 24 when you check out, man. You can figure out the percentage you'll get right then because it'll show in your order.
Yeah,
right?
9% off.
It's 20%.
The Questionnaire, the best current comic book podcast existing around.
So happy to have Studio Comics as our very, very first sponsor. Say Studio Comics!
Studio Comics!
Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and do all the stuff that you have to do.
I'm the unknown factor with the questionnaire. Make sure you check it out.
But so I think that at least for me, if there isn't an entire season of something that's available for me to watch, oftentimes I will forget that show even exists. I'll watch one episode. Oh, I have to wait to see another one. I forget about it. It's because for me, it's like, okay, I just found this hour of time. Let me put on the thing that I have been watching. Right? But if that thing isn't available, I'm going to go to the next thing that is available and I'm going to watch all of that. So at least for me, and maybe again, I invite dissenting opinions, but for me and the way that my life now works, it is so much more convenient for me to watch something that is entirely available for me. Otherwise, I might not watch it. Like, okay. I have to remind myself, oh, okay, go back to the pit now. Right? I love it. And I don't like medical shows. I love the pit. And I don't like, but it's not, to me, it's not a procedural. So I kind of like get away from that. I love it. But I have to remind myself. It's like I have to like set something on my phone. Go watch the pit now.
You just keep on bringing up things I've never heard of.
Jay, the pit. Okay, you have to know that like I am the person that everyone laughs at because I know nothing about what's going on in the entertainment industry. So like I'm so glad that you're beating me, but you have to know the pit is hugely popular. And you'd probably love it. It's a medical show. It was supposed to be ER2 basically, but then they realized that they would have to pay too much for that, and so they just made it its own thing.
All I know is you said you don't have a lot of time to consume media, right?
I don't. No, I'm a single mom that works, I don't know, 70, 80 hours a week. I know you feel that. I know. It is impossible
And
as a single
and
parent works to
and I'll be
watch.
real honest too. Like when I'm chilling around and I have time of my own, hey, Wonder Man came out. I watched Wonder Man. I've read Marvel comics my whole freaking life, and the fact that I can watch them on screen now is beyond phenomenally crazy, insane to me. And Wonder Man was phenomenal, right? And like if I see like a comic book property, I'm gonna check that one out. But if it's like properties that aren't comic book properties anymore, really, that are on TV, my brain goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go read a comic book."
I mean, look, to each their own. No, I feel you. But then again, you're talking about stuff that is readily available for you right now because the way our lives are so busy that thing has to be there, right? It has to be there and it has to be ready. And if I have to wait a week for that thing and it's on a Wednesday, I'm never going to remember that. Goodbye, I'll see you later. I'm going to watch this thing that is available.
Okay, so with what you've just said, I have to pose another question and see if it's happened to you. Because I know it's happened to at least two other individuals you've had on the show. You ever sat down and been like, ooh, I'm going to watch this movie, and you have it on DVD, but you start looking through it to watch on a streaming service? Have you ever had that happen?
That I literally have a movie on DVD, but I'm looking on a streaming service for it?
Just to see if you can click it real quick to watch it because you're just chilling down, relaxed.
I got rid of all of my DVDs a long time ago. But okay, just keep going. And I can't find it.
Well, no, and you can't find it on the streaming service. So instead of getting up
You
and
know what that
grabbing the
happens to me
DVD,
with?
no, instead of getting up and grabbing the DVD, you select something else on the streaming service to watch instead of watching what you wanted to that you already have. You never had that happen clearly because you don't have DVDs. Why
No,
do you
but I
not have
did.
DVDs?
I can beat you that though with VHS. Because there was a movie that I so wanted to show my kids because it was so ridiculous and I loved it so much growing up and it was so 80s that the female love interest, her name was Tangerine, and it was just the best thing in the world to me. You might not remember this, but it was the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
It's been a long time, but I do vaguely remember it.
Okay, so you saw it. And it is like, it's so gross, but it's so amazing. And I so badly wanted to show my kids what Garbage Pail Kids were because they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're bad, gross Cabbage Patch. Like you have to know this. It's nowhere. And yeah, so, but no, I will not select something else. You know what I did? This is ridiculous. I spent hours trying to find it somewhere else. And was completely unable to do it and got incredibly frustrated. And the saddest part is I don't have that VHS tape anymore. So sayonara, Garbage Pail Kids. I don't know how I'm ever going to watch that movie again or see Tangerine. And my kids probably think I made it.
You can't find it to purchase I think you could find the VHS tape somewhere to buy. Or did you? And it was like, I'm not.
I'm telling you, it was not popular. I think it was like, at some point, I saw that it was unavailable because like someone is pursuing the property right now for something else, which I was like, holy shit, are we going to get another Garbage Pail Kids movie? But yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean, you have to select something else. But no, I'm one of those people who like, if it's something nostalgic that I want, I will spend way too long trying to find that thing. Do you know what I did recently? I thought this is crazy because I still have a bunch of my my CDs from high school and I love them. And I feel like we're losing the art of like artists would work so hard to craft an album and like the song orders and everything. And it's a beautiful composition. And we're missing that now when everything is like, you know, like play an individual song on Spotify. So I have all these CDs that I love.
You should go check out. You should go check out the 2 Killer Factor albums because there was a great deal of thought in composing those albums as albums that were a story construed as one story. So I appreciate the fact that you appreciate how artists would do that. I am also dumbfounded by the fact that you have CDs and no DVDs.
Well, It was a strange purge, I will tell you that, when I moved from back to New York from Los Angeles. But yes, I kept my high school CDs. And so I bought a CD player, one of those Sony like 5-disc changers. And I know like we all remember what that used to sound like in there when it would switch discs. And it arrived and it was not working. And I was like devastated, but I would not give up. And like we've discussed this, like we're both working single parents. We have zero time. I spent 2 hours repairing this effing thing myself because I just wanted to play my CDs again. And I got it. Between me and YouTube videos and ChatGPT, I was able to fix this 5-disc changer. So now I can play my high school CDs again. So yeah, when it comes to nostalgia, I do not give up. Actually, bringing it back to Kill Train, it was the same thing with that logo behind you that you're looking at, the Kill Train logo. I was so insistent that Kill Train logo had to look like something. I wanted it to look 90s. I wanted it to look like a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in. Like I wanted to bring back that like Total Recall feel. And I think I kind of made them crazy over at Mad Cave. I think we went through like, 3 or 4 different iterations before we landed on that. But yes, when it comes to nostalgia, I need it. I will go for it. I will spend way too long trying to get it.
With that being said, I swear I want to make one more, because if it says Jay's Road Snacks, that's hilarious. But I want to make one more request. You ain't got to include my name or nothing on this. But that needs to flash up like old school Total Recall.
Oh yes.
With that noise. For no reason. Right?
No reason. No. It's not like a shing. It's not anything. The noise is not connected to anything. It just makes a noise.
Yeah, it's just why was that noise there? Don't ask. All right, just go with it. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's old action movies.
So you've got the College Try. It's you guys can go pick that up in stores right now by the time this drops. I already know that. You've got Kill Train Volume 2 coming out. You don't have any tentative date for that yet, do you?
I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out, but I know it's going to be in 2026. I don't know if all 5 books will come out in 2026, but we'll definitely get the first book of Volume 2 out. I'm not going to say anything about the story except that you don't have to be as afraid of the New York City subway, but you're not going to want to ride the Metro North.
It's really, 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 really political, is what Olivia is saying, right?
No, I'm not. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. It's just that we're fleeing New York City at this point. So that's where that's going. So, and if anyone is from New York or knows anything about New York City, you catch the Metro North trains at Grand Central. And I made fantastic use of the very, very famous Grand Central Concourse in a double splash page, which I was not able to put in the first volume. I've only had one other double splash page in any other book that I've ever written, and that was in Silver City. So that's a big, fantastic scene and something to look forward to. And then I am contracted for another horror with Mad Cave that I will be writing immediately after, or maybe even alongside the second volume of Kill Train 2. Still trying to find time for that.
Do you have any
then
details on what that is? What are you doing? What are you doing, Olivia?
It's got magical realism in it. I'll say that, and it deals with a true crime podcast junkie. And there's I will say, like, it's kind of an homage to like Final Destination and those types of like death as in inevitability and something that you're trying to escape kind of thing.
So in other words, the true crime podcaster keeps getting into true crime to the point where she ends up becoming a true crime that someone's got a podcast about. I got you.
Not quite. Not quite, but I don't want to spoil it because that one nobody knows anything about yet, and they will announce it. And then there's a couple work for hire projects in the YA space. that I might also be working on with Mad Cave / Maverick. I'm still waiting to hear on that. I recently had a fantastic introduction to this editor that I absolutely love at IDW. I've just completely fallen in love with this woman. And there's a couple things that we're cooking up to see if they get the green light, but I'm feeling really good about both of them. So a lot coming down the pike in terms of comics. And I think I'm going to be doing my first Kickstarter with Martina Niosi this year, which is a very different, talk about absurd, but it's about a woman who has her first orgasm, and in doing so, her body ends up breaking the quantum barrier. And it's absurd, and it's really, really fun. But it's like a Midwest adventure story about a woman who ends up getting these like superpowers that she can't control that go away if she has to continue figuring out how to control her sexuality or harness it in order to keep getting powers to save the store that she loves. She's a manager of a jumbo mart, which is essentially a Walmart. So it's it's fun and crazy. And that's what Martina and I are going to be working on shortly. So I think we're going to start working on that book in March, and the Kickstarter will follow. It's not gratuitous sex. Really, what it's about.
I just absolutely love the variety of stories that you're presenting over this next year. Like there's so many different levels, and I think it's great because I think it shows the levels of a person that you are, and I think it's very important that as creators, and yeah, I don't mean to keep bringing up Rebecca Lee Gardner, but it's one of the things that came up in her quest is she was doing something with a bunch of kids, and they asked her, "How do you come up with a dragon story?" She starts making it up, and she turns around and realizes, oh, she did it so fast, just making up this story, and they were looking like it's like, oh, I scared the normies, and my response to that was, don't be afraid to scare the normies. Right. And I'm very glad. I'm very happy there are people out there like you, Rebecca, Doug, so many great people that we've had on this show, and others for that matter, that aren't afraid to scare the normies and put their own voice out there. Because I think without that, I worry that without people willing to do that in stories, that we as a society will start to lose empathy, which I'm kind of afraid we're doing already to a certain degree.
I was going to say, yeah, there's a serious lack of empathy problem. And, we started this whole thing talking about narcissists and narcissism, which is very sadly, it's an epidemic. And I say sadly, not for those of us necessarily who are not narcissistic, which, we all have some degree of narcissism, but it's hard for people who are very empathetic to encounter narcissists. But what I think is even harder is the life of a narcissist. They are chronically unhappy people, and a lot of it has to do with what they did or did not get as a child. But what narcissism really gets in the way with is empathy. But I will say that again, comic books, storytelling, all of that, it even creates a safe space even for narcissists to feel. So with the current epidemic of narcissism, which I think has a lot to do with 90s parenting, I think that it's more important than ever to exactly what you're saying, to keep telling stories that push the limits, push the boundaries, that normalize certain things that we are not used to seeing. And again, that's why I think it's so important. We've talked about diversity as an industry for so long that somehow diversity became a dirty word, and I don't. That part is weird to me. But what's so important though is that we've incorporated people that look different, that talk different, that have different abilities now, and we can see them very clearly. And what's so important is once we can normalize different types of people having different types of experiences, then the empathy can start. So yes, it is more important than ever, not just to tell stories, but to tell stories that are honest, that are real, that are coming from a very clear standpoint and point of view. And that's why I was so enamored with Mad Cave for taking a chance on a story about a middle-aged single mom going on an adventure, I thought, oh God, who's going to want this story that's so fucking female centric, right? And not just female centric, but it's not a young female viewpoint. When you come up in the entertainment industry and film and TV especially, you start to think that the only female stories anybody cares about are cute 20-somethings. But I just, for whatever reason, when I was outlining Kill Train, I couldn't go there. It had to be me in that moment, and they went for it, and the book was so successful that I'm doing a second volume. So I say this all the time, there's room for everyone, but you're right, it is so important to tell these stories right now. And with Lady O is the Kickstarter, that's what we're tentatively calling it right now. And what that's about really is, for oh my God, since any woman can remember, you look back in the history books, there has never been a time where women who are sexually awakened in any way, shape, or form, or who own their sexuality, have been celebrated. And that is really what this book is about. And it's about a woman gaining sexual knowledge about herself and figuring out and she literally gets powers from it, right? And that's what we were talking about earlier, that like these absurd elements, these out there elements, that's what makes these stories fun and engaging. And you have that, slight bit of, being removed from it in order to be able to safely engage with it. And I won't tell you what the ending is, but, ultimately what she has to come up against in this kind of alternate world that I'm creating, and what's happening with her body after breaking the quantum barrier, is what a lot of women have to come up against, which is that a lot of people, they don't want women to be sexually empowered. It doesn't help their agenda. And that's why this kind of knowledge has been hidden from us for so long. And it gets all tied in with, reproductive rights, and it becomes a mess.
And it's funny because that's kind of why the Salem witch trials happened.
Oh God! But so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but that's well, I know a lot more than that. That's just the one that's right in my head. That's like the most recent.
Dancing in the forest with minimal clothing. Oh my God, how scandalous! Could they possibly be getting some sort of pleasure that their husbands are not giving them?
It's so funny.
Oh, God forbid they won't work for us anymore and make us dinner. But any sort of, when people step out of their lane, when they are used to being seen in a certain way, shape, or form, that becomes very scary and threatening to people. And when people are threatened, they place restraints, they remove knowledge. Especially when anything that's tied to, reproduction in this country is a disaster. So, if you want women to have more babies, then you remove sexual education. That's the first thing that goes. And we've been dealing with this back and forth in this country for forever. And the people who are paying are women.
I don't. That whole point hurts my head, and especially even with recently, because look, I know, I'm 42. I'm not trying to have no more kids.
Oh, same.
All right, yeah, I know, yeah, but I'm not trying to have no more kids.
I'm done too. Done.
But look, for you to be done and for me to be done on a permanent basis where we don't have to worry about it and can still, be adults, right? It's way easier for me than it is for you, both medically and just paperwork wise, if I'm going to be honest. It's me going, yeah, get it done. But with a woman, it's okay. How many kids have you had? How many blah 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 blah? It's like they want to I've seen the whole process. It's really, really odd how that's set up and why I understand. It annoys me. I don't understand, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I understand why it is like that as far as in the people in power. It annoys me because it's like that because of the people in power. I don't understand because, dude, what is your problem? What is your problem? Right. What is your, sincerely, who didn't hug you enough or hugged you too much, or do you just need to hit with a brick, right? Do I need to introduce you, something? That's my only, I don't know what else to say to individuals like that. There's so many different points. If we get real political, we ain't going to do that because I'll get in trouble because then I say things that, I do that in my music. That's where I say things that will get me and DKB shot if we ever really blow up. But I try not to do it on the show because, we try to keep the show for everyone.
Yes.
And if I start getting real political and say like things like, lobbyists in Washington need to do what the WWE did in the 90s. They used to be the WWF and they got the
I know.
FL.
Didn't they changed the name? I don't know.
No, they used to be the WWF and they
I
turned
know.
to the
That's when I
WWF.
watched it.
Yeah.
WWE still,
Yeah, it's the
it doesn't sound like anything to me.
No, it's the WWE now because in the 90s,
Right, I know.
worldwide,
The World Wildlife Foundation got upset.
So lobbyists in Washington need to do exactly what the WWE did in the 90s. Get the F out. Get the
very
F out.
nice.
Yeah, do what the WWE did in the 90s. It'd be so much better for the world because then you wouldn't have the political influence. And I think the political influence is cause for way too much is what happens in this country. You know what I mean? It's just lobbyists and either that or can our politicians please dress up like NASCAR people and I know who I'm voting for because it says Walmart on your suit, right? That would be awesome. But then it's the whole, I don't know, people just really, really hurt my head on that. It becomes, I think it's weird more than anything else, that the world has become more connected than it's ever been. But I think we're more divided as a humanity than we've ever been before because of how connected we are now.
Yeah.
And it's because the art of war is being used. All right? I don't know what percentage of people on this planet have read Sun Tzu's The Art of War. I'm positive it's not real high. I'm positive it's not even 50% of people that have read the edition of Sun Tzu's Art of War that is readily available to the public. I shouldn't have said that like that, but whatever. I know things. Because it's being used in a social and economic manner more than anything now, as opposed to actual warfare. It's being used to take groups, say something, and then make that group over here, and this group over here, and that group over here, and that group over here. Because if all these groups come together against the one thing that's really causing this problem, that means this is a very, very large group. But if you have 20 smaller groups to deal with, you can subjugate them far easier. So how do you get enough people to understand and come together and stop being stupid and understand that they're being manipulated and that's what's causing them to want to argue with this people and these people wanting to argue with this people when that's really not the problem. The problem is the fact of what's lorded over us. Like if minimum wage was $20 in this country, like $20 flat, if that was the minimum wage federally, how many problems do you think it would fix? I guarantee it would help the comic book market. More people would have money to buy comics.
Well, probably every market, yeah.
We're talking comics. I don't care about the rest of the markets. But I'd be happy that everybody could eat properly. I will say that. But I don't care about the rest of them, all right?
Just keep our stories safe.
Yeah, I mean for real. Because there's so much importance to them. And you've got that Kickstarter is kind of like that's just
It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it.
I just love the absurdity of what you write, Olivia.
Oh, thank you, Jay. That means a lot.
I do, and I really, I swear a couple times I've said things on this show. Jason Momoa should be Lobo. I said that way before he was officially cast. That's right. Finally cast him right. Crossed should never be a TV show by Garth Ennis. Crossed. It should never be a TV show. Ever. Leave that thing a comic. It should only ever be a comic. They're making a TV show of it. Okay? So I don't know if I say that they need to make Kill Train or if they don't need to make Kill Train, which way it'll work. So I'm not sure what to say because I definitely want to see that as a series, especially based on what you've said where you're taking Volume 2. That's...
Same.
And then you've got, whatever. You want to see it for the paycheck, too. You want that movie money.
Yeah, of course I do, because then I don't have to work like an asshole all the time and never take any breaks. I could breathe. I could like have a whole weekend with my kids without having to worry about what work I'm missing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that TV money,
So
but movie money. But you know what? It's coming.
so you're constantly spinning plates.
Constantly. That's the only way for creators to stay alive in this country.
Do you ever feel like you can put one down?
I don't feel like I can, but I often feel like I have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the burnout. This week's been a burnout week for sure. I'm feeling it, but it's I'm also, I kind of, there's a lot that I had to start in my life over again after the summer. So it's a very, very busy time, but I'll get there and I'll get my break. Listen, that's the thing with the entertainment industry. There are years that I have done really, really well and I didn't have to sweat. And then there are years that are not so great. And there's nothing linear about a career as an artist. It's like this. So, but you know what? I love telling stories so much that there's very little that the universe could throw at me that's going to stop me from telling stories. I love it. I love what I do. I don't know how to do anything else, really.
Do you think AI ever could?
Of course. Everyone's a storyteller. It's the only thing that we all do.
I know. Look, and thank you though, because I actually am working on several stories. I got
know you
people
are.
but no, I said, do you think AI ever could?
Oh, that's a
stop
really interesting question. We're really, really far from AI being able to tell satisfying stories. And I don't know that it's going to be able to get there the way that people are afraid that it will. I think that there are definitely a lot of jobs that are threatened by AI, but there's a lot that AI can't do. So I'm not worried about it. I do use AI as a writer's assistant kind of. I'll use it for research. Sometimes if I brainstorm a lot, so if I have a ton of ideas, I'll throw it all into, Chat GPT, and then I ask it to organize my ideas and my brainstorms, which is actually quite good at. But in terms of actually telling stories itself, it's it's not there emotionally. And I think, what art is, it's a way for human beings to communicate an emotional experience with another human being. And that's why I don't think it's ever going to be that satisfying to be communicated something emotional by something that doesn't have emotions. I think that it's a hard bridge to cross there, I think. But we'll see what happens. I refuse to be scared by anything. And I refuse to be threatened by anything in terms of, what I love to do so much. But that does not mean that I'm going to not use these things. If they're useful tools and they help me tell stories better, I'm going to use them, but I'm not going to be threatened or scared by them.
All I know is you made me think of something that I've told many people here recently, which is people will be like, man, you'd be surprised by that, wouldn't you? And my response anymore is look, if Godzilla's foot came through this building right now, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be annoyed that I had to deal with the fact that Godzilla was here, unless I obviously got squished, and then I'm not anything. But if I'm seeing his foot and I'm not squished, I'm going to go, son of a bitch. And I'm going to go get my son, and I'm going to deal with whatever I need to. I'm going to be really, 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 really annoyed that there's a giant freaking lizard, right? But yeah, I'm not going to be surprised or scared at this point with all the crap I've seen recently. I mean, just with this country, because we brought up ICE slightly, and I don't even want to look. It's funny because what was the hockey movie you said a little bit ago?
Heated Rivalry. It's a show.
Yeah, the show. Okay. I've seen I think one post about that where there was a bunch of people arguing over it, blah blah blah, because it's two hockey players and they're gay, and ooh, let's argue, right? And I was instantly like, God, y'all really got time to do this on, I think it was Twitter, whatever. And that was until you'd mentioned it. That's the only time I'd ever seen the show. And then with the ice thing, I've seen like two. I'm not on social media. I'm really, really not. I've seen like 2 posts, and I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible. What is wrong with you people? Like, even as a, and then sometimes I'm just talking with individuals out at my job because for my day job that I do, that, you know, make sure everything runs with what I'm doing and this gets done and all that. I run across a lot of people because I go into 2 different states. I work at several different stores. I see all kinds of people, and I've heard everything from, yeah, the world is going to crap. Oh, we need to do something. Oh, I would join ICE right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right? And
Okay.
when the guy says that, I'm like, all right, man, you have a good day.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Like,
But if that's something that you want to do, I hear the standards are quite low, so you can probably do it.
I've look, if they're lower than what they are for you, you realize that a police dog has more training hours than a police officer.
Yeah. That's where we live. Isn't that fun? But that's okay. Just keep telling stories, keep reading stories.
As long as stories like that don't become fact, like Idiocracy is becoming a fact, I'd rather have Idiocracy than that. Okay, Olivia? Like, seriously. Idiocracy would suck, right? For people to just be that stupid. Have you seen that movie?
A long time ago.
All right, it's becoming more. Yeah, it's becoming more fact than fiction. I don't want that to become more fact than fiction. All right, and I fear. Yeah, I don't like the look on your face right now.
What can I say? I mean, listen, it's what's happening is disturbing, but I am such a positive person, and I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and that there it's a bent towards progress. I do. It's slow and it's meandering, but we are not going to be in this situation for forever. And I do think that, oh God, it's so hard. It's so hard because, you know, it's really easy. It's so easy to see all the bad shit and to be brought down by it emotionally and to feel really, really under it. And then you see these moments of absolute beauty. And I think for me, most recently, one of those moments of absolute beauty was what just recently happened with James Van Der Beek passed away, which hurt my heart so much. And I had been following him on social media, and he just, what a beautiful soul. And when you listen to what he had to say about what cancer, a really, really aggressive, awful cancer that he spent, 3 years battling and failed. He failed in his fight against cancer. What he says that gave him is so tremendously beautiful. And it was just a reminder to me of what these terrible destructive forces that we have in our lives are able to bring out in the best of us. And it's something that keeps me hopeful. So any of you out there who are really, really feeling under it, if you want to cry, but also maybe feel better about humanity, go visit James Van Der Beek's Instagram and watch some of the videos. And also, oh my God, this is what I've been doing each day since he passed away to make myself feel better. I look at how much money has been raised for his family. And I think it's just over $2.5 million right now. And he's got 6 kids. So, you know, that's a lot of kids to take care of. It warms my heart. So there's beauty in the chaos. You just need to look for it.
Yeah, that is not anything I can disagree with. And I'll tell you, for everyone out there, if you want to find some beauty in the chaos, go read you some comics. There is so much
That
beauty
too.
and so much chaos. And so many things
And
you
like
can
in
learn.
Kill Train.
Yeah, and like I said, there's so many from Olivia that you can check. Like right down in the description, there's links. I know Kill Train Volume 1 is currently available in trade paperback. A College Try just dropped. You can pick that up. The Kickstarters, you got way too much comment. Look, there's links. I'm not running through it all again. Y'all have just been here for like an hour and a half hearing us talk about it, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Right, I do. Olivia, it is an absolute pleasure to have you back on, and
Thank
I'm
you, Jay.
I'm so glad that we both got through what we got through, because
Yep.
that was rough, man. So don't mess. So look,
Bullshit.
yeah, just go buy Olivia's books. Support the show. Check out the website. There's a bunch of stuff there. We ain't gonna do no negatives on this one because I don't want to. I just want y'all to do 3 more things. 1, if you want, click a button. 2, always get your comic on. Jump on a kill train. It might be a fun ride. You never know. Just like you might want to bring a weapon, right? Besides that, have a good night, y'all.
Thanks so much for hopping on board and listening to the questionnaire.
Keep a listen out to these crazy guys.
The questionnaire.
I missed something.
Like and subscribe.
You drunk. Go home.
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
Don't have a good day. Have a great day.